A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7 a.m.
So this storm is coming. What do? You got to prepare. Go now. We have some details on what you need to have your safe and warm during this storm.
Storm preparations are well underway on the roads, but safety officials say now is the time to get yourself prepared.
Grab some weather stripping, grab some caulking, take advantage of, now.
The advice from Duke Energy is they say temporary outages could happen.
People already slamming stores to start preparing.
I think all you can do is be prepared.
Where you should focus your attention as you start to make plans this morning.
And you'll see crews salting the roads and spraying brine.
We verified the differences between the two and when you should use one over the other. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up on WCNC Plus.
As we near 7 o'clock, we are starting to see backups across our area on several parts of our interstates, but one of them I want to point out is this incident. I-85 inner loop at Albemarle Road. There's a possible overturned vehicle causing backups in that area.
Thanks a lot, Destiny. All right, plain and simple, just letting you know the road conditions are going to go way downhill during your Saturday evening. Try to stay off the roads by then, and then on and off sleet and freezing rain is the norm around the Charlotte area. Not a great drive, and that even includes heading into Monday. So stay weather alert, stay off the roads, and stay safe.
And he'll have much more on the forecast coming up on WCNC Plus. Join us there.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, and thanks for joining us on WCNC Plus. I'm Megan Bragg in for Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
Right now, North Carolina under a state of emergency in advance of this weekend's winter storm. This morning, Governor Josh Stein is set to give an update on the state's response plan as thousands across our area prepare for what's to come.
That's right, and our team is standing by to help you get ready for the day ahead, as well as the storm that we are expecting this weekend. We start things off with Chris and an update now because things have changed slightly when we talk about this storm.
Yeah, so people are going to be saying, I knew it was going to change. not necessarily this is a great change, but instead of mainly all freezing rain, this is the good news. Now we'll have a different form of ice. I know that sounds ridiculous. Maybe I'm just trying to be a forced optimist here, but it's actually good if we could get all sleet, because I was mentioning it would be better to have snow. It's still not a great drive. And we're being serious. I said this over on WCNC Charlotte, that when it rains, it's pandemonium. I did traffic for 3 years here. Trust me, Destiny knows it. Megan knows it. Anyone who has done traffic here or really watched it, just even a little bit of rain can cause any havoc. If we're talking about pure ice, that's not going to be a good situation. And they can treat the roads to a certain extent, but depending on how heavy the sleet and or the freezing rain is, if you mix them together, it's just going to be a solid sheet of ice, y'all. Here's the newest changes. I showed you a form of this graphic. One thing that's come up, the sleet potential. Since there's more sleet replacing the freezing rain, ice has actually come down, but it's still at a very dangerous level. Don't get me wrong. And our snow potential continues to trend down, exceptions for the mountains. Really, it's either a snow-sleet mix for the mountains or more of a freezing rain and sleet mix for the Charlotte area. So it's either ice or more of a sleet and snow situation, depending where you are. Right now, we're looking at a little bit of sunshine, but we can encounter a shower or two depending where you are through the morning in the afternoon. Here's what it looks like on our Futurecast. If you live north of Charlotte, especially around the I-40 corridor, you actually have a better day than the rest of us because you're dealing with more sunshine on and off. We'll have a pulsing shower here and there, either side of noon especially, so don't be surprised if it does rain. That's one thing that changed on us. Today was actually looking like a more partly cloudy, partly sunny day with rain staying well to the south. Well, this has come up a little bit further to north because we actually have signs that our winter weather system is also trending north as well, which will affect us slightly. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about the brine first as far as freezing rain is concerned. It's excellent at first at the first glaze of ice. If you have a light icing event, you put some brine down, there's nothing even to worry about. But it really just buys time because once you get a moderate freezing rain, even light to moderate, it's only going to be helpful partly. There's still going to be some slick spots starting to form, but if you get a long-lasting freezing rain event like we could have and looks like we will have in some areas, it's overmatched. So that brine initially to start off the evening will be okay, but there will be almost a breaking point just like that. And all of a sudden the roads are going to become treacherous. So that's why I'm saying everyone needs to be done what they're doing by about 6 o'clock. Saturday morning, I think it's just cloudy. During the afternoon, you might have a chance for a passing snow shower. Get that? A little bit of sleet. That's what this pink is representing. But anything in the pink goes. I think there's going to be some drier air that's overcoming, so you could really have some really fine sleet initially, but eventually it takes over. But within this zone, you're either going to have ice pellets or just rain. But that rain is going to be freezing with temperatures likely falling down into the 20s. That's the tricky part that we have here, that if we get more sleet or freezing rain. The worst case scenario, really mixing all those, is actually if you get a sizable sleet accumulation and then you have the freezing rain that fills in all the gaps and almost solidifies it into one entity. Because if it's just loose sleet, you can kind of plow it away like snow. If not, it could solidify into one thing. Now, we are seeing some signs that there could be some breaks here and there. There's also signs that there's more rain further off towards the west. But regardless, it's Sunday morning primarily that I think it's going to be the worst. So it's Saturday evening to Sunday morning that we're seeing most of the ice accumulation, that some of our area could see up to a ½ inch of ice. The worst case scenario is still up to an inch of ice somewhere here in the Carolinas. But I think it's more so a quarter to a ½ inch of ice is going to be a possibility. And that's adding anywhere from 150 to 500 pounds extra onto our power lines. Any weakened branches could take that down. So I think we will have power outages. It's just trending more that we're also going to have some sleet as well. And the National Weather Service, when it documents a snow or winter event, it will actually categorize sleet and snow together. So if we get any snow totals, sleet is also going to be accumulated there as well. So the Charlotte area right along the I-85 to the I-40 corridor, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of sleet is what we're calling for, less than an inch down towards the south, with again, either side of the I-85 corridor having the better chance for freezing rain in general. So our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast shows the top today in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, a cloudy day with on and off rain south of I-85, and then we're waiting on until later on in the day on Saturday. Saturday is going to be kind of one of those things. What winter storm? Well, it's not Saturday, it's Saturday night that we're going to have really the impacts to take over. Sunday is the day just to stay in. watch some football for the afternoon. Hopefully your team's in the playoffs, but hopefully we don't lose power. Fingers crossed there. But yeah, just a mix of ice all across the board. And by Monday morning, with temperatures still staying below freezing, it's going to be an icy mess. So likely school is canceled. After that, we see some improvements, but I have to point this out. 15 degrees on Tuesday. So we have some very cold mornings to follow, which doesn't help out the slipperiness that's going to be ensuing. So I'll have another update on that coming up here shortly. But first, how's that accident looking that you had, Destiny?
Yeah, we're still seeing most of our accidents from earlier this morning linger on, at least in the 6 o'clock hour, going into the 7 o'clock hour this morning. So you want to take it easy, take it slow. No weather impacts this morning, so that is good news. But as you can see on I-77 northbound, we are seeing that slow congestion, some stop and go traffic in some areas. No accidents right now on I-77 itself, but we are following this one. I-45 inner loop at Albemarle Road. Possible overturned vehicle is what we're seeing right now, but as you can see, for folks heading south on I-45, you're going to run into this backup here. So it'll affect getting on and off Albemarle Road for sure. We're also seeing backups here on Brookshire Boulevard South at Lawton Road. I am seeing that this may have cleared, or at least the left lane that was closed might have just reopened, but this is still a significant backup at this time. One more accident that's causing some issues is in South Charlotte, Westinghouse Boulevard at Granite Street. There are other accidents that are on the map this morning, but those are the most significant ones. And as you can see, there's a lot of red patches that we're seeing. So take it slow and drive safely.
All right, thanks, Destiny. While crews across our area prepare for this winter weather, some people were wondering what the difference is between salting the roads versus using brine. I'll verify the differences coming up at the half hour.
Again, it is suggested that you stay home if possible, but if you have to hit the roads, here's some tips to stay warm if your car gets stranded. AAA says it's always better to be over-prepared. Make sure you have an ice scraper, food and water, gloves, boots, chargers, spare batteries, and a flashlight. Cat litter also helps if you get stuck. It absorbs moisture and gives tires something to grip to.
And as you know, preparing for sleet and ice goes well beyond what's in your car. People already slamming grocery and hardware stores to start preparing for their homes for potential power outages.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live this morning inside Black Hawk Hardware in Myers Park. And so, Richard, we know people are going to the stores. They're going to buy many things, but it's important that you stay focused when you're making your plan and going out to these stores.
Absolutely. And as you said, Lisa, make a plan. Good morning to you. Good morning, Megan. Good Thursday morning, everyone. The storm is coming. We don't know exactly how bad or how good it'll be, if you will, but we can tell you one thing, that now is the time to get prepared for it. I'm standing here at Black Hawk Hardware. Look at this. This is the same thing that goes on at this store whenever there's a major storm, and this one is going to be a doozy. This is the type of situation folks are facing. Of course, they've got even the sleds, which some people we saw picking up yesterday. These sleds have gone away as well. Grocery stores also the same thing. We've heard tales of a lot of the bread, a lot of the milk, a lot of those things are gone because this storm is coming. So it's important to be prepared. At Black Hawk Hardware in Myers Park, shelves have gotten low from shoppers grabbing everything from ice melt and shovels to space heaters and flashlights, generators as well. Store employees say they've seen a steady stream of people trying to get ahead of the storm before the conditions worsen. Now, they're stocking up on basic items, anything to keep them warm. People are getting blankets, people are getting water, things like that. Of course, you need things in case your power goes out. I mentioned generators, you need batteries, you need candles, propane, also a limited supply flying off the shelves. Officials now are telling everyone to prepare now. So even if you don't have a lot of these items, at least charge your devices, your cell phones, tablets, all that, keep them charged. Check your emergency kits. If you don't have one, you should get one, okay? And make sure your pets and pipes are protected from the cold. We spoke to some folks about them, how they are getting prepared. Take a listen.
Number one, get out now before it gets bad. I mean, that's number one. You got to be prepared, just like you said. You got to be prepared ahead of the event. So get out and get your supplies when you can.
Walking out here with their last 3 bags of ice melt. Storm's coming. You got to get water, bread, and ice melt.
I got the last 2 shovels. They're actually for my boss. So I didn't get one, but he's straight.
What do you do if you need a shovel?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm just kind of, I'll do whatever.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Ben, who's not here, had me shopping for a bunch of his stuff just because he says that he was going to ask Lisa, but he didn't want to have her out in the cold. So he said, Richard, get me a bunch of shovels and things like that. That's what we do. That's what we do for our bosses. You know what I mean? Anyway, here's one of the things I can tell you about Black Hawk. While they don't have a lot of supplies, a lot of this stuff is running low. A new shipment is coming in. They should have it here either later today or tomorrow. Call ahead to a lot of the places to make sure that you can get those items you need. That ice melt and other items should be coming back right before the storm gets at its worst. But folks, now is the time to get prepared. We'll
now is the time, Richard. You were so right about that. Richard Devane reporting live. Thanks so much for that report, Richard. Today, one of the people killed in a deadly crash in Rowan County last Friday will be laid to rest. 21-year-old Fletcher Harris and his girlfriend, Skylar Provenza, were killed on Amity Hill Road in Rowan County. Harris's funeral is scheduled for 2 o'clock today in Mooresville. Loved ones said their final goodbyes to Provenza yesterday in Statesville. We are seeing new footage from the break-in at late NASCAR driver Greg Biffle's home in Mooresville. Investigators released this video showing a suspect arriving at the property around 11 o'clock on January 7th, just weeks after Biffle and his wife and family were killed in a plane crash. Investigators say the thief stole about $30,000 in cash, NASCAR artifacts, and 2 handguns. The Iredell County Sheriff's Office is asking anyone who recognizes the suspect to come forward.
President Trump is now walking back a tariff threat against U.S. allies and says there's a new framework taking shape with NATO over Greenland and security. What the shift could mean on the world stage is ahead. Well, days after threatening allies over tariffs over their hand over Greenland, President Trump takes back that threat and says he and NATO have a framework of a deal over Greenland and security. NBC's Alice Barr has details on the potential deal from Washington.
President Trump continuing his foreign focus today in Davos, Switzerland, with the first meeting of the Board of Peace, formed to oversee reconstruction of Gaza. And now expanding to seek an end to other global conflicts. Dozens of world leaders invited to join, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, though some European allies declined over concerns the board could rival the United Nations. all amid that diplomatic dust-up over Greenland, with President Trump now saying he's reached a framework of a future deal with the NATO Secretary General.
We have a concept of a deal. I think it's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them.
While also saying he won't use military force to take over Greenland, a Danish territory.
People thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
And backing off threatened tariffs against Denmark and 7 other European allies that oppose the U.S. buying Greenland. That after Europe hit pause on a long-sought trade deal. President Trump has insisted the U.S. needs Greenland for national security. And now the New York Times, citing 3 senior officials, reports that NATO members discussed the possibility of giving the U.S. sovereignty over small pockets of land to build military bases. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers divided over the president's approach.
If a guy can get it done, it's him. It's Donald Trump.
We don't treat our allies this way, and there's been grave damage done.
While a NATO spokesperson said negotiations with the U.S., Denmark, and Greenland would continue, and that there is no proposal to compromise sovereignty. The U.S. already has broad access to establish military bases in Greenland under a Cold War agreement. The NATO Secretary General said the question of whether Greenland would remain a Danish territory did not come up anymore in his conversation with President Trump. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Vice President J.D. Vance will visit Minneapolis today. The White House says the VP plans to meet with ICE agents and defend their immigration operations. Vance's visit comes days after the Justice Department subpoenaed several Minnesota officials as part of an investigation into whether state and local leaders have obstructed federal immigration enforcement efforts. Tensions remain high in Minneapolis following the deadly shooting of Renee Good earlier this month by an ICE agent.
Meanwhile, as Minnesota reels from intensifying anti-ICE protests, the Pentagon has ordered active duty military police soldiers based at North Carolina's Fort Bragg to prepare for possible deployment to Minneapolis. Over the weekend, the Pentagon also placed 1,500 troops from 2 battalions of the 11th Airborne Division on prepare to deploy orders. This is all in case President Trump invokes the Insurrection Act in response to the unrest.
Well, it is something that we don't see much down south, but will we see it with this winter weather? Chris is going to tell us about ice fishing. That's next.
Welcome back, everyone. Who's ready for some ice fishing? Well, whoa, hold on. So some people have been asking, I was like, hey, is it going to be cold enough for us to go ice fishing? I'm just going to let you know, it just is not in the cards for the Carolinas. Because in general, here it is. You need about 5 to 7 days straight with high temperatures below freezing. By the way, we have rarely done that in general, but I'm talking about temperatures in general below freezing. So we really don't do that here in the Carolinas. You have to go well off towards the north because you need the ice to be at least 4 inches thick. So that is something that does not happen. It's very rare that we even get Lake Norman to drop down to the 30s for its actual water temperature, just doing something locally. So ice fishers, you have to go well off towards the north. But if you want to go ice slipping, boy, do I have a forecast for you, because we have a chance for sleet, which is ice, and also some plain old freezing rain. So as you can see across the area, you could have a glaze of ice that's that very light pink to the north, but more the hot pink is representing up to 1/4 inch of ice. At that point, you could have some significant ice impacts that are going to happen along with this, but there is going to be a band. I think a band up to about 1/2 inch of ice in general. There's still one question mark about what is going to be the balance. Is there going to be more sleet than freezing rain, or is there going to be more freezing rain than sleet? That's what's going to make this forecast so difficult. But even if they mix together, they pretty much become one. Because think if you have a jar of marbles and then all of a sudden you pour water in between it, you pretty much just have one full jar. Eventually what's going to happen here on the surface is you can get those ice pellets and the water is going to sink in between and freeze. As far as any of the brine they put down the roads, I was mentioning this before. At first, I think it's going to be really effective. But by Sunday morning, once you get some actual ice accumulation, it is really going to be don't travel on the roads. If we get up to that 1/2 inch mark, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of power outages across the area. So that's why I was telling everyone yesterday that this is the time that you definitely want to be able to head to the store to get everything that you need. My family was at the grocery store yesterday and there were above average lines for going to the grocery store at 3 o'clock. And Megan was saying the same thing. And I like to buy the cheap gallons of water. Those were sold out. The ones that are fancy with the actual clear plastic, those were still on the top row. So if you want to go fancy, that water is still available, but it's really today that you want to do that shopping because I'm sorry, people are starting to catch on. This is going to be a big event. Don't expect any traveling on Sunday and even into Monday morning. Full forecast coming up, but first, full look at traffic with Destiny Richards. How's it looking now?
Yeah, we're still seeing a lot of accidents out there this morning. So we're in that peak commute time. You want to give yourself plenty of time if you're headed out anywhere. We're seeing I-77 near Arrowwood. The southbound side is where we're seeing that stop and go traffic, while northbound is just fine. Still following this accident, I-45 Interloop at Albemarle Road. It's starting to get pretty messy on Albemarle Road just outside of the loop there. So again, this is not just impacting I-45 traffic, but also East Charlotte traffic as people try to navigate around this. So just a heads up there. Good news, this crash at Brookshire Boulevard South at Lawton has cleared, but as you can see, still some impacts there in terms of slowdowns going on, not just on the southbound side, but also on the northbound side, just on the other side of I-85 there. So just a heads up. And then we're also seeing a new crash on Brookshire Boulevard South at I-45. It's looking green, but the right lane is blocked according to our traffic map. So just be aware of that and drive safely.
Destiny, thank you. As the temperatures plunge and power grids are strained, several hazards become far more likely and far more dangerous. Understanding these risks and keeping them in mind can help you prepare before the conditions worsen. First, carbon monoxide poisoning. This happens when furnaces, generators, or cars produce those odorless fumes that can build indoors and become deadly. Next, hypothermia. It sets in when the body loses heat faster than it can produce it, especially for anyone exposed to extreme cold, wind, or wet clothing without proper shelter. Last, when the temperatures drop, water inside exposed or poorly insulated pipes can freeze and expand and causing the pipes to burst. This can lead to major flooding and make homes unlivable. Make sure that you stay safe this weekend. We're going to take a quick break right now, but make sure that you keep it right here, streaming live on WCNC+.
We're still a few days away from that winter storm. In the meantime, clouding things up a little bit more. It's really mild to start off the day. At least it's not freezing. Only exception is Albemarle. You're at 32 degrees, but you're going to be seeing some thicker clouds today. And if you live south of I-85, you are going to have a chance for some on and off rain. So keep that in mind. That's the biggest change in the forecast. Warmer with more sunshine the further north you go. Meanwhile, we have a winter storm watch that will become a winter storm warning. For you in the mountains, you're going to have the highest snow and sleet accumulations, and then a mix of sleet and freezing rain closer to the Charlotte area. So that's why we're weather alert through the weekend into Monday morning with those freezing temperatures and then also widespread ice accumulation. I think the worst of the activity Saturday night heading into Sunday. Stay off the roads on Sunday. Be safe, everyone. We'll continue to keep you updated, especially a lot more on WCNC+. But first, Destiny, you've had an up and down morning. What's the status now?
Yeah, definitely up in terms of accidents that keep popping up on the map, but here are the most impactful ones right now. I-45 Interloop at Albemarle Road. More than an hour now, we have had this backup here affecting traffic on the loop and on Albemarle Road, and that is a possible overturned vehicle in the area. We also have this, Brookshire Boulevard South at I-45. The right lane is blocked during this time. We'll have more on WCNC+.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30 on this Thursday. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragg in for Ben Thompson. We're going to send it right over to Chris as we are tracking for that potential ice and sleet storm that could be heading our way. Chris?
Yeah, there's only a small portion of the population that has a better chance at snow. And what do you know? It's not surprising here. That would be around Wilkesboro and the mountains. And then really we're cutting things off right through the Lenore area. And the reason why is because at that point, you're seeing more of a sleet and snow mix. And that's the dividing line between sleet and pure ice. Anyone in the pink, so that's all the way from Taylorsville to Morganton, down through Rock Hill, Chester, and Lancaster, you have a better chance for sleet and ice and even heavy ice. So what does heavy ice mean? This area specifically has a better chance for freezing rain. There's going to be at a time tomorrow morning, or not tomorrow morning, I'm jumping ahead here, a time on Sunday morning that you will look out the window and it will be raining. However, that is deceptive because that rain will be freezing rain. That means every drop is actively freezing instantly at the surface. That's the problem here. The reason why this happens is you have snow above our heads that melts in these super cool droplets. And if we're below freezing at the surface, especially well down into the 20s, close to 20 degrees, that's instantaneous, just going to be accumulating that ice. But in general, the biggest change that we've had is that we're also adding more sleet to the mix. So that is technically going to bring some of our freezing rain totals down, but the problem that I'm seeing here is that if you get freezing rain mixing with sleet, it still mixes it in just to all one layer of ice. It just might be more of a lumpy layer of ice. So that's why we're under a winter storm watch. If you read the National Weather Service verbiage here, because they're covering the entirety of the Carolinas here, or North Carolina at least, the verbiage is 1 to 6 inches of sleet or snow and a chance of up to an inch of ice. That's super vague, but that's why we've been showing and trying to narrow it down as far as our totals go. So the Charlotte area, I'm calling for 1 to 3 inches of sleet and up to a ½ inch of ice, where that's the biggest change that we've had since yesterday. Yesterday I said that, hey, ice is trending up, sleet is trending up, and snow was trending down, and then there was also the rain was trending down as well. Well, now it's sleet. It's really starting to take kind of the front runner that's happening here. I still think we're going to have the freezing rain as well, but this is going to help us out mainly just for our power lines, because if this was a full freezing rain event and we saw up to an inch of ice, which is still an outside possibility, it's just not the #1 possibility, we'd be looking at a maximized historic event here. This is still going to be one of the worst in history and pretty much a once-in-a-decade storm, because it was back in 1996, 2002, 2016 that we had at least an ice total up to a ½ inch. So it happens every 10 years or so, and looks like for 2026, what do you know, it could happen again. In the near term, we're looking at just a chance for rain. So this rain is going to be on and off south of I-85. So if you live north of here, you have a better chance for sunshine. On and off showers are going to be a possibility. On and off throughout today, heading into tomorrow, widespread through the central part of South Carolina. So say if you're driving down to Columbia or you wanted to hit up the zoo before you got to a treacherous weekend, it's going to be raining most of the time. And then by your Friday, I think we have a cloudier start with a chance for rain, but then eventually the pink takes over. And this pink is going to be on and off throughout the overnight Saturday heading into Sunday. So that's where we need to say weather alert. But letting you know, the brine that they're putting down is going to be effective at first. But if we end up getting an overmatched, long-lasting freezing rain event, and even sleet can do this as well, well, that brine's only going to do so much. So that's why I'm letting you know the early evening hours is really not as big of a deal, I think, compared to what we have as mid to late evening by your Sunday morning. By Sunday morning, I'm saying, hey, don't be on the roads if you don't need to be. And here's a look at our ice potential that we're tracking. So as I mentioned, you're going to have that area of heavy ice that right now is leveled over the Charlotte area. The only change I think that we're going to see here is either we add more sleet, so it'd bring up more like 2 to 3 inches of sleet compared to closer to about 1 to 2, and then less ice. But I still think that there will be some areas here in the Carolinas that have up to a ½ inch. We've been mentioning that. A ½ inch of ice is significant because it actually adds up to 500 pounds on a power line. So we will have power outages across the area, and it could take a while to repair it. So we do not need a widespread event like here. Regardless, it's not going to be a good commute, because when it rains, it's a treacherous travel. There's accidents all over the place. If people see that, okay, it's not as much freezing rain, it's sleet. Sleet is still balls of ice. It's going to cause slick spots all over the place. And the Charlotte area actually has up to 1 to 3 inches of sleet that'll be a possibility, where the 485 loop is going to be really telling. That you could be in northwest Charlotte around Paw Creek up to 2 to 3 inches of sleet. Meanwhile, Matthews dealing with mainly freezing rain. So that's the big discrepancy here. You're going to have ice. That is regardless, you're going to have ice. It just depends if you have more ice pellet form or more widespread freezing rain. I would rather have the ice pellets, but both are still not a good scenario. So stay weather alert for this weekend. It's still not a good travel day. Do not do it, because at one point the roads are going to become impassable from place to place. By your Monday morning, it's still going to be a treacherous travel. That's why buses will not be out on the roads. So I think the worst case scenario for the kids is that they are not going to have a school day and it'll be remote, but likely it is going to be a snow/ice day. After that, temperatures are on the rise, but not right away for our lows. 15 degrees on Tuesday morning. Yikes. Stay weather alert this coming weekend. Next couple of days, perfect time to prepare around the house or anything you need to get from the grocery store. But there could be some delays for your morning commute. Ooh, no, what's going on, Destiny?
Yeah, we're just continuing to see congestion on I-77 on the northbound side. So continuing just to monitor this. Again, no accidents on I-77 itself, but this is just a backup we see this time of the morning. But there are some backups that are being caused by accidents in the Charlotte area. So let's get to it. Still following this one, possible overturned vehicle, I-45 inner loop at Albemarle Road. And it looks looks like both sides of Albemarle Road on I-485 are really being affected either by this incident or just people trying to get around it. So right now we're seeing it on the inner loop, but also the outer loop on the other side of Albemarle Road as well. So definitely plan for a way to get around this because it's been lingering for more than an hour now. Independence Boulevard east at Margaret Wallace Road. I haven't been able to get to this accident. It's lasted for about 15 to 30 minutes, but it has cleared. But as you can see, still a mess just around Margaret Wallace Road at this time. Just one more before I leave you. We do have this one, a right lane blocked at Brookshire Boulevard South at I-485.
Destiny, thanks. 7:37 now, and this morning Duke Energy crews are getting ready for the winter storm, and they are urging customers to prepare now. Officials say ice and sleet pose the biggest risks to power lines. They're advising people to plan ahead by keeping extra supplies, charging devices, and staying informed on power updates.
If you depend on medical equipment that relies on electricity, find a backup plan for that. And also, having your emergency kit, having things that you need in case there is a temporary power outage.
Duke Energy also says gas-powered appliances can still be used for cooking, but they warn do not use them to heat your home. If you lose power during the storm, you can report it by calling, texting, or using the Duke Energy app.
NCDOT crews are preparing ahead for what could be a historic winter storm in the Queen City this weekend.
WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley found out how they are keeping the roadways safe.
These roads are clear now, but it could be a different story this weekend. NCDOT crews plan to start pre-treating roadways Thursday after rush hour to prepare for what could be the most significant winter storm Charlotte has seen in 20 years.
Where you're going to see either NCDOT or contract vehicles throughout Charlotte and Mecklenburg County and surrounding counties treating the roads with a mixture of brine solution.
Jen Goodwin, a communications officer with NCDOT, says crews will treat the interstates first.
Then we have primary roads that are usually like a 4-lane divided highway with a center median. Then we move to higher volume secondary roads, and then those secondary roads further out in the county that might not get a lot of traffic.
Goodwin is urging drivers to stay off the roads if the conditions worsen. But if you must drive, you're encouraged to stay on the main roads that have already been treated. And remember, preparation is key.
Make sure also you've got full tank gas, fully charged phone. Also, make sure if you see any of our vehicles to give them plenty of room to work. Stay a couple hundred feet back behind them while the brine solution is being sprayed out.
In the meantime, NCDOT crews plan to work rotating 12-hour shifts throughout the weather event that could leave behind rain, sleet, and ice. In Charlotte, Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
Meanwhile, South Carolina crews are also working to get roads ready and brined before the storm hits. On our live impact stream right here on WCNC Plus, our anchor Vanessa Rufus spoke with a spokesperson for the South Carolina Department of Transportation. She gave some insights on where they start operations.
If we see accumulation starting to build up on the roads, we do start with those interstates and primary routes, those heavily traveled routes, to ensure that first responders, critical workers can get to where they need to go. We understand that there are folks that need to travel no matter the condition. We're here and we're working for you and for all of South Carolina as we work to safely restore roadways after we see a winter weather event pass through our area.
And again, that conversation happened right here on WCNC Plus. Stay with us for the latest developments as this winter storm approaches. You can also find more information on how to better prepare for the storm.
And all week at 6:30 p.m., our weather impact team will be answering your questions about this weekend's storm live on WCNC Plus. You can text your answers to 704-329-3600 and watch for free on our WCNC Plus app. Rising living costs are squeezing Americans, but there's finally a break at the pump. We hear why gas prices continue to fall coming up next. Time now 7:43. Ford is recalling about 116,000 vehicles due to a potential fire risk. The recall includes certain Focus, Explorer, and Lincoln vehicles with model years ranging from 2013 to 2019. According to the recall notice, the engine block heaters may crack and develop coolant leaks. As a result, the block heater may short circuit when it is plugged in, which will increase the risk of a fire. Owners should not plug in their block heaters until the problem is fixed. Dealers are replacing the block heaters for free. The high cost of living has bogged down many Americans' wallets. Housing, food, and energy costs continue to rise.
But one source of relief is gas prices. Jen Sullivan explains why prices are plummeting and how much you can expect to save.
Drivers can expect cheaper gas in 2026. It's a rare source of relief as many Americans are drowning in higher prices.
It's going to be a very affordable year for many Americans when it comes to filling their tanks.
Patrick DeHaan with fuel savings platform Gas Buddy says national prices are projected to average around $2.97 a gallon. That's the cheapest it's been since COVID. That's about 13 cents cheaper this year than last year.
It doesn't sound like a whole lot. It's still going to save Americans $11 billion over the course of 2026.
That would translate to an average household spending of just over $2,000 on gas for the year, down from $2,700 in 2022. So what's causing this?
OPEC is primarily the reason why gas prices this year are going to be lower, is because OPEC is producing more.
DeHaan says there are some wild cards that could cause prices to go up, like hurricanes, political conflict in Iran, or the war between Russia and Ukraine becoming more volatile. But ultimately, DeHaan says this downward trend will continue throughout the year. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
According to AAA, right now the average fuel price is $2.85. In North Carolina, it's less at $2.73, and in South Carolina, it's $2.61 per gallon. Well, from lower gas prices to potentially larger tax refunds, consumers have some glimmers of hope on the money front in 2026. However, new data from the Federal Reserve of New York shows that Americans are more anxious about missing debt payments than at any point since the early months of the pandemic. Consumers are still feeling the squeeze of high inflation and the debt that's piled up as a result. Experts say the key to staying financially stable in this environment is understanding how much control consumers still have over their credit.
It doesn't even have to be perfect credit. It doesn't have to be an 800 credit score for you to basically have an awful lot of options when it comes to credit cards, mortgages, personal loans on down the line.
And in an uncertain labor market, improving a credit score could improve chances of a job or a promotion.
Well, this morning, crews across our area are preparing the roads for the winter weather. And some of you have asked us what the difference is between salting the roads versus using brine. So let's verify. To answer this, we went to the state of North Carolina Department of Transportation. So let's first take a look at brine here. It's a solution of water and salt, and it's used to pre-treat roadways in dry conditions when temperatures are above 18 degrees. It's loaded into holding tanks and sprayed on roads. That can be done 24 to 48 hours before storms hit and protect against icing. Here's what it does. It prevents snow and ice from bonding with the road surface, keeps snow from being compacted by traffic, and is more effective and coats roadways better than plain salt or sand. Meanwhile, let's take a look at salt here. Salt is usually used after storms to help clear roads. Salt helps melt the remaining snow and ice, and crews usually use a mixture of salt and sand because sand helps break up the ice and adds extra traction for vehicles. Chris?
So to build on that, Megan, you're going to see what you just said, that'll Monday, but the brine, it's going to be effective at first. But there is a scenario for some of us that we will have not just a light, but even a heavy and long-lasting freezing rain event. At that point, brine did its best, but it will not be able to outlast the accumulating ice. Some of us could see up to a ½ inch of ice. I'm gonna have that and more if your area is gonna be affected with that. I have our most recent Futurecast model showing those ice totals leading up to Saturday evening. I'll see you soon.
Well, as we continue to watch for the winter storm that's headed our way, we're talking about cold temperatures this morning. And I know that you guys have all been in some really cold temperatures.
Yes.
I was saying when I lived in Pennsylvania, I remember it was 6 below one morning and I had to take my son to school. And I thought, something's not right about this. It's 6 below. I shouldn't be taking a little kid to school. So let's do something about that.
Yeah. I don't know the exact temperature, but from upstate New York,
right?
It was freezing, but you'd also have to drive in whiteout conditions everywhere you went. So I think my coldest though was in Nebraska.
Really?
I was doing a live shot there, and I swear I was getting frostbite on my fingers.
You probably were.
Oh my gosh, it was freezing. Freezing. But
what about you?
The coldest for me was my last job in Spokane, Washington, -7 degrees. I think I was in studio that day. So
right.
But for like a live shot and being outside, I was with the fire department on a 9-degree morning. My face was covered when I was talking because my lips could not move.
Oh yeah, it's so hard to do sometimes when it's really, even now when it's super cold out, it can be hard.
Well,
all right.
I, of course, remember exact temperatures just because this is what I live for. So similar to Nebraska, my first job was in Sioux City, Iowa, which is literally on the border of Nebraska. My first day of work, I parked in a far parking lot because I didn't know there was a closer one, and it was -22. And I really thought, do I really want to be a weatherman?
That would have been my last
Do
day.
I really want to do this? And then there was one time with the winds blowing that we recorded a wind chill of 45 below zero.
I don't even know.
And this was me at the end.
No.
It's awful.
It's terrible.
Because, like, so what Megan said is that literally when you're that cold, you can get frostbite within a 15-minute period.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think that was happening.
Yeah. Or the precursor to frostbite is frostnip, by the way. So you most likely
I think I had a frostnip. I got in the car and I cried and I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I think I have frostbite. And she's like, you're fine.
All right. I just remember I would be doing live shots and my eyes would be watering. They'd be like, why is she crying? Because she's cold.
She's freezing.
All right. Tell us about the forecast and what we're expecting. Hopefully we don't have any of that.
Your salty tears will not be freezing. I'm letting you know that. So I wanted to show you something. This is our Futurecast ice totals. Leading up to 11 a.m. on Saturday, you're not going to have anything. But the reason why I'm showing you this specific model is we've showed you the long-range models. This is our first insight of the one that I trust the most, that I show you pretty much each and every morning when I'm saying, hey, it's going to rain over the next couple of days. Well, it actually extends 68 hours. So I want to show you the first signs that I see some ice accumulation. This is noon on Saturday. I really want to comb through this. There's a chance that we could have what's called a glaze of ice. The first signs of this. The good news, whenever you have barely any sort of spitting of freezing rain, that is not going to be effective on the roads because of the brine that we had just mentioned, because it really has to be much colder than 18 degrees for it not to be effective, or a super heavy precipitation. But I want to show you how things really change. I've been mentioning after 6 o'clock, because after 6 o'clock, that's where we really start to see a change. Because look over to the west, you're starting to see some of those 0.04s, Pinola to 0.5, but it really starts to expand heading into the early parts of the morning. The data ends there, so we could have up to 1/10 of an inch of ice by midnight, so please stay off the roads by about midnight. Speaking of the roads, luckily we don't have that right now, but it has been chaotic so far, Destiny.
That's right, it has. We have seen more accidents in the last 2 hours than we have for most of the morning. So earlier on WCNC Charlotte, it was a quiet morning before the sun came up, but it's definitely getting busier out there. I-85 at mile marker 40 out near Graham Street this morning. If you're headed southbound, you'll likely encounter some issues near Sugar Creek Road, and we'll get into that. But I do want to show this updated traffic flow map at this accident, I-45 Inter at Albemarle Road. Some of the backup has disappeared here, so it's likely that this is clearing finally for the first time in almost 2 hours. We will see, but this is what we've been talking about. Sugar Creek Road at near I-85. The left lane is blocked, so that's going to be an issue for folks in that area.
All right, Destiny, thanks so much. Well, we need to take a quick break, but make sure that you keep it right here, streaming live on WCNC Plus. We'll be back at the top of the hour.
Good day, everybody. You're looking at a little bit of sunshine mixing amongst the clouds, but letting you know we do have a little bit of rain down towards the south. So that is going to be a possibility really south of I-85 on and off through the next few hours. So really it's heading into the afternoon. We're going to see some on and off rain showers and a little bit more sunshine to the north. So a mix of cloud and sunshine throughout the day. High temperatures all over the place, about mid to the upper 50s, some even hitting around 60 degrees, especially around Morganton, the I-40 corridor, where you're having more sunshine than the rest of the area. The newest development that we have for that winter storm that we're all talking about is a chance for more sleet than ice, but we still have a potential of up to a ½ inch of ice, which could be crippling, and multiple power outages. So stay weather alert through the weekend. However, it's the first half of your Saturday. Anything goes. You can get outside, no problem, but we start to see some precipitation really by the evening. Stay off the roads by then. Here's an update of the roads with Destiny right now, though.
Yeah, we've had some accidents start to clear, so that is great news right now. This accident that's been on the map for more than an hour is cleared. I-45 inner loop at Almar Road. Just beware of some lingering backups in the area. We're also cleared on this accident, Westinghouse Boulevard at Grannon Street, but still backups again in the area. We do have a crash though, Sugar Creek Road West near I-85. Time now is 8 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining us on WCNC Plus. I'm Megan Bragg, in for Ben.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
Right now, North Carolina under a state of emergency in advance of this weekend's winter storm. This morning, Governor Josh Stein is set to give an update on the state's response plan as thousands across our area prepare for what's to come.
That's right, and our team is standing by to get you ready for today and for the weekend ahead. Destiny Richards is in this morning. She'll have a check of your morning commute. But let's find out more about our forecast. We are weather impact alert heading into the weekend.
Yeah, luckily all is well right now. We'll have a chance for a little bit of rain, but now we have it. Winter storm watch. And don't read the verbiage on this from the National Weather Service because they're literally covering from western North Carolina to eastern North Carolina. And guess what it says? A chance of 1 to 6 inches of snow and or sleet and up to an inch of freezing rain. That's not really specific. That's why I'm here to narrow it down for all of us here in our 22 county viewing area, or maybe outside of that here on WCNC Plus. You can be watching from all over the country. So download us now. Actually, you already downloaded us if you're watching us right now. Thank you for downloading. That's what I meant to say. All right, so our highest snow and sleet accumulations are in the mountains. Plain and simple, that doesn't shock anyone. Meanwhile, the Piedmont, that's the greater Charlotte area, that is heavy mixed precipitation. So mainly sleet and freezing rain is what we're going to see. This is not a snow event. I repeat, this is not a snow event. I was even in the grocery store and I kept my own weather business out of the way. Someone behind me was talking about snow and I wanted to turn around and say, no. No, it's going to be sleet and ice, but c'est la vie. Hopefully, maybe they'll tune into WCNC later on. Sleet and ice. That is the name of the game. Sleet. Most people are confused about what it even is. It's those little tiny ice pellets. And I love what Destiny said earlier. And she said, so it's going to be noisy. I didn't really think about that. If we have sleet, yeah, it's going to be a lot of those tick, 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 tick going on. Meanwhile, it could also have the sound of rain mixing in between. So that's going to be the difference. Literally, if you listen really closely, especially if you end up losing power, you're going to hear the tick, tick, tick to the on and off rain. And once you hear more of the shh happening, that means it's chained over to just straight up freezing rain. Not a good situation there. There is a slight chance, and there's a scenario, and I will show you that here in a bit, that does show a surge of above freezing temperatures, barely anything. I'm talking about the mid 30s by the end of the day. But at that point, you still have a ton of ice on the ground, and then it'll refreeze again through the overnight. So not necessarily an improvement to the forecast. But what I'm looking at is there will be a swath, a tiny ribbon of up to about a half inch of ice across the Carolinas. There will be power outages. Actually, the best case scenario for us was trying to get more snow. Well, getting more sleet is going to help us out. The roads, I think, are going to be really problematic, but freezing rain will actually cling to the power lines, weighing them down. Sleet will, at times, mixing with freezing rain, do the same thing, but it mainly is going to accumulate on the roads. So that's a better case for at least the power outages, not clinging to the lines, but not a good situation regardless. Clouds are going to win out most of the day today. We'll have high temperatures in the mid to the upper 50s, some even around 60 degrees, so it'll be a little bit warmer. But one big difference is we will have a chance for on and off rain. But the biggest news that I have this morning is that sleet is trending up over that ice potential. Now, it depends where you are. Now, sleet, I think, is going to be number one, but I think freezing rain is going to be a close second, but it really depends where you are, as I was mentioning. And this isn't necessarily a good thing, because sleet, being almost snow-like, will accumulate faster than actually water. So what it's going to do is allow for maybe some quick accumulation, maybe up to an inch. All that inch could freeze together. So realistically, you could almost have a combined sheet of ice if you have sleet followed by freezing rain. So even though that ice potential has trended down along with the snow, it's not necessarily an improvement. It's just not going to make it a historic ice storm like it was before, but still one of the worst in history. So let me get right to our snow totals and our ice totals and sleet totals. That's what a lot of you were asking for in general. The timing is Saturday evening, Saturday night through Sunday morning, and eventually we will start to see a change during the afternoon. But I think that's where it's going to be the worst. As far as the highest snow totals that we're going to have, those are up in the mountains. But ice, there will be an area that will have anywhere from a quarter to a half inch of ice. Right now, we're trending that it'll be somewhere along the I-85 corridor. This is going to move. The two things that will change for this map by the time I'm up here at 8 o'clock tomorrow is this will likely get thinner and it will get more specific, but then also we will have a chance of really seeing where that 0.5 is going to be. But even up to a quarter inch, that's problematic. Mixing with sleet, the roads are going to be awful. We all know this for a fact. When it gets wet on the roads here, it's pandemonium. Now, I think a lot of people are going to be staying off the roads. That's why we're not up here. I'm not up here to be a weather hype man. I've been called every name over the last 24 to 48 hours saying that I'm overhyping things. No, I'm here to tell you the worst case scenario, because yesterday you had a chance up to an inch of ice, and guess what? That's not out of the scenario, because you're still seeing 1 to 3 inches of sleet, balls of ice that could accumulate, and then it could be glued together by freezing rain. That's not good, because again, it's problematic on the roads when it is just wet here. If you mix a couple of inches of ice balls frozen together, it's not a good scenario. So today we have a little bit of rain that's going to be on and off, continuing into your Friday. And then eventually for our 7-day forecast, we have the 30s to below freezing temperatures heading into your Sunday. Slight chance for a full changeover to rain before it just freezes over and into Monday. Likely no school for the kiddos and a lot of businesses closed on Monday morning. We have some improvements, but still 15 degrees, very cold. Cold this morning of the season. And by far to around 15 degrees on Tuesday, a little bit warmer after that. But boy, are we dealing with just cold and winter weather starting on Saturday. Okay, so Destiny, I know before you've had some shutdowns, you had overturned vehicle. What's the status start off 8 o'clock hour?
Yeah, we have some things that have cleared, including that overturned vehicle, so that's good news. But as you can see, we do have congestion really up and down I-77 south of Uptown right now, northbound I-85 near Gastonia, and then also some issues on I-45 still even though that accident has cleared. So let's start with that good news. The overturned vehicle has cleared at I-45 Inner at Albemarle Road. But again, on the outer loop, we're still seeing some of those backups. Likely not caused by this, but it could be as people were trying to get around it for most of the morning. This crash is also cleared in South Charlotte, Westinghouse Boulevard at Granite Street, but kind of a mess in this area as well, even though that accident has cleared. Right now, we are following some accidents, including Sugar Creek Road West near I-85. The left lane is blocked, and then Brookshire Boulevard North at Idaho Drive. The right lane is blocked in that area.
All right, thanks, Destiny. Well, crews across our area prepare for this winter weather. Some people were wondering what the difference is between salting the roads versus using brine. I'll verify the difference coming up at the half hour.
Again, it is suggested that you stay home if possible this weekend. However, if you have to hit the roads, here are some tips to stay warm if your car gets stranded. AAA says it's always better to be over-prepared. Make sure you have an ice scraper, food and water, gloves, boots, chargers, spare batteries, and a flashlight. Cat litter also helps if you get stuck. It absorbs moisture and gives your tires something to grip.
And as you know, preparing for sleet and ice goes well beyond what's in your car. People are already slamming grocery and hardware stores to start preparing their homes for potential power outages.
And we can expect more of that today. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live this morning. He's inside Blackhawk Hardware in Myers Park. And people, Richard, where should people focus their attention? Because we know a number of people are going to be heading out to those stores today, but you have to stay focused once you're in them.
That is absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. Lisa, Megan, that's absolutely correct. Janet here, you're from New York, but you've got your shovel. You ready? Show us your shoveling skills.
You gotta chop it.
Chop it. There you go.
Scoop it and then toss it.
You're prepared? You ready to go?
Ready to go.
Thank you so much. She didn't want to be on camera, but she said she'd show us her skills. She's from up northeast. She's a New York person, New York and Philadelphia person. So she says she's prepared. That is the key, being prepared, not waiting to the last moment. As we take a look at video, we can tell you we're here at Blackhawk Hardware, where there have been a run on items as this storm barrels down on our area. Folks need to be prepared. The shelves have, and you can tell, have been getting low. They're trying to restock as best they can, but people are running in to get ice melt and shovels, space heaters, flashlights, generators. Store employees say they've seen a steady stream of folks coming in here, getting everything they can. So far, one person just in the last few minutes ran out with about 10 flashlights. People stocking up on basics, especially anything that keeps them warm and safe in the case that the power goes out. Now, officials have been telling us, reminding everyone to prepare now. They want you to charge your batteries, check your emergency kits, and make sure pets and pipes are protected from this cold.
Number one, get out now before it gets bad. I mean, that's number one. You got to be prepared, just like you said. You got to be prepared ahead of the event. So get out and get your supplies when you can.
Walking out here with their last 3 bags of ice melt. Storm's coming. You got to get water, bread, and ice melt.
I got the last 2 shovels. They're actually for my boss. So I didn't get one, but he's straight.
What do you do if you need a shovel?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm just kind of, I'll do whatever.
Do whatever. Okay, now it's important to note that if you need something, a lot of the stores hopefully are getting some more stock in before the worst part of the storm hits, so you'll have an opportunity. Like Blackhawk, they hope to get some ice melt and some other items in today, and of course tomorrow. They want to have all this stuff stocked. We want to get you your supplies before that storm hits. And I know that Megan said she wants one of these, and Lisa, we're looking for the ones in blue for you guys, so we'll have these and bring them back to the station for you. We are right here at Blackhawk's Hardware. Send it back to you.
Richard, you always know what I like. Thank you so much. And before we head to break, here's an exclusive shopping deal for our viewers.
Hey, our team tests tons of products. You know we only bring you the best, and I love finding you the best deals. We have an amazing one today on this product. Professor Amos's Shock It Clean Multi-Purpose Cleaner. This stuff is insane, and what I love about it, you save money because it works outside and inside on just about everything. I have this grill right here. Come on in. It is all grimed up. Watch what happens when I just do this. Look, first of all, without even doing anything, it's already, you can see, turning that bright red. Then you just take this sponge. Look at that. Look at the difference, the side by side. And I haven't even wiped it down yet. Look at this. So side by side, the grime and the clean in 2 seconds. We did the same thing to this outdoor chair. There's the before and after, and we gotta go inside. You gotta see what it does in there. This is my carpet at home with this huge stain on it, and I'm actually wondering if it'll come off. So I'm just gonna spray a little bit like this. That's actually, believe it or not, the color of the carpet. That's not the, look at that. That's the white of the carpet. Look how it just fixed that immediately. Insane. You know, I had to come to the kitchen. We have a mock stovetop for you. What's great about this is it actually breaks down the molecular structure of the stains and grime. Crazy how well this works. And when you wipe it away, this before and after tells the entire story. We have a great savings for you today on this product. You get the 64-ounce jug, normally $49.95 today, just $31.95. That's 36% off while supplies last. Just scan the QR code on the screen or go to shoptvdeals.com.
Welcome back to WCNC Plus. The time now 8:14. The DHS has responded to the autopsy of Renee Good, the 37-year-old woman killed by immigration enforcement in Minneapolis. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin says Good used her vehicle to block law enforcement officers and then, quote, proceeded to weaponize her vehicle. McLaughlin added that she deemed Good's action as a felony and that impeded law enforcement operations can lead to deadly consequences. An independent autopsy shows that Good suffered 3 gunshot wounds, 2 of which were non-life-threatening.
Democratic U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut wants Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to appear before Congress. In a letter sent to the Senate Homeland Security Committee and the Judiciary Committee, Senator Blumenthal says Noem and Acting ICE Chief Todd Lyons need to testify regarding an internal memo that authorized ICE officers to go into people's homes even without a warrant from a judge. The Connecticut senator says his office received that memo in a whistleblower complaint, which claims ICE is ignoring the Fourth Amendment. Well, humans aren't the only ones affected by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement raids in Minnesota.
Some animals are also being left stranded. That's why a Minneapolis-based rescue group called The Bond Between is helping dogs and cat owners prepare for potential issues during ICE enforcement actions.
I'm urging people to come up with a kind of a preparedness plan so that in the event that they are worried about being detained or deported, there is a plan in place for their beloved pet. Animals don't know why somebody left, and so I think a lot of times they feel really confused and abandoned, and that's what we want to stop.
The organization is offering to house animals for up to 3 months at no cost. It can also help to find new homes for surrendered pets. The overall goal is to keep pets safe until owners' situations return to normal.
During a speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, U.S. President Donald Trump doubled down on his demand for control of Greenland and called for immediate negotiations for a potential U.S. acquisition. Ivan Rodriguez reports as the president also says that he won't use force to annex the Arctic island.
President Donald Trump says he has, quote, formed the framework of a future deal on Greenland after meeting with the NATO chief Mark Rutte in Davos, Switzerland.
Does it still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you've said you wanted?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
How long would the deal be, Mr. President?
Infinite.
Trump also said new tariffs are no longer needed on European nations that opposed his ambitions. Earlier, the president ruled out using the military to acquire Greenland. During his speech, Trump took aim at Switzerland, the host country of the World Economic Forum. He warned Canada to be grateful to the U.S. and questioned NATO's commitment to defend the U.S.
The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return.
Trump also slammed Denmark as ungrateful for refusing to relinquish control of Greenland, contending that the nation owed the U.S. for defending it during World War II. Repeatedly, the president also named Iceland when it appeared he meant to refer to Greenland.
I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time?
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
The North American cold wave over 40 years ago this exact week recorded the coldest temperature in both North and South Carolina. Next, our Chris Mulcahy tells us about impacts and aftermath left behind.
Welcome back, everyone. Yesterday, we're dropping knowledge here on WCNC Plus, saying that yesterday was the coldest temperatures that North and South Carolina has ever had. It was an epic cool down. Honestly, we didn't have this big, bad low pressure system moving through. We had a chance for some really Arctic air to move through, but instead, that low pressure system is like, no, stay up there, cold air. Even though it's going to be relatively cold, and that's the main reason why we're going to see all this ice coming up. But yeah, negative 19 is the state record for South Carolina that officially was hit January 21st, 1985, and minus 34 34. It's an advantage being about a mile up on Mount Mitchell, North Carolina. But it was today in weather history that the Charlotte area officially started to see a rise out of its depths of cold. It was officially on January 20th, we hit a low of -2. On January 21st, yesterday, 1985, -5, which, by the way, has only happened 3 times in Charlotte history, twice in the 1800s, only once in the modern era. And then for today, January 22, everyone is excited that they were back above the 0 point with a low of 6 degrees. Not a lot of optimism there, but I'm letting you know that we're nowhere near that, even though we are looking at some cooler temperatures eventually. Check it out, though. We're definitely feeling winter's chill, where it's typically January into February. Though, of course, we have our coldest temperatures. 58 feels great today. There will be some on and off rain, so it's not a perfect day, but I gave today like a 2-star pick of the week just because it is going to be on the warmer side of things, especially the further north you go. 51 degrees right here around Friday, and then a mix of the lower to the mid-30s, where a couple of degrees could be all the difference between freezing rain, some sleet, or just rain in general across the area. I'm talking about the entirety of the South. So it's really a close forecast, but since we are close to freezing, there is a slight chance that we could limit some of that ice late on Sunday, but all in all, it's still going to be an icy mess for most of the day. Back up above freezing briefly for Monday. We see a little come up to 45, but guess what? We're going to see another big drop. Highs only around freezing for the last days of January. Well, where does that leave our lows? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but after this system, we're pretty much locked and loaded in the colder side of the forecast, where 45 is the warmest day we have to look forward to. That's why I actually named my pick of the week today, even though it's not the prettiest day, because it's near 60 degrees. We're going to be nowhere near that, where our low even overnight tonight around 40 degrees isn't even going to come close to some of our highs that we have in the latter part of the forecast. So starting on Tuesday, we're at 15 degrees. All of last year, the coldest temperature that we got was 16 degrees. We could outdo that. We're ending the month around 16, 17 to 19 degrees for the first day of February. So yeah, it's going to get colder, so enjoy the warmer temperatures while we have it. Coming up at the top of the next half hour, I'll be having a lot more full look at what we can expect for this weekend, WIRE weather alert, and our newest snow totals, sleet totals, and ice totals. See you soon.
This morning, we are still following several accidents on the roads, but some things have cleared, but it's still, peak commute time. Lots of people are out there, so just take it easy this morning. I-77 near mile marker 9. This is where you get onto I-77 or keep going straight to the West Boulevard exit. Right now at exit 9A, we do have a new accident, I-77 south at West Boulevard, so exit 9A, and you can see all of that red there really going up and down I-77 towards and away from uptown, so just a heads up. Brookshire Boulevard has kind of been a mess in several areas this morning. The latest accident is on the northbound side at Beatty's Ford Road, and then not too far from there, Brookshire Boulevard North at Idaho Drive still have the right lane blocked there.
Well, as temperatures plunge and power grids strain, several hazards become far more likely and far more dangerous. Understanding these risks and keeping them in mind can help you prepare before conditions worsen. First is carbon monoxide poisoning. This occurs when furnaces, generators, or cars produce odorless fumes that can build up indoors and become deadly. Next, hypothermia. Hypothermia sets in when the body loses heat faster than it can produce it, especially for anyone exposed to extremely cold wind or wet clothing without proper shelter. Last, when temperatures drop, water inside exposed or poorly insulated pipes can freeze and expand, causing pipes to burst. This can lead to major flooding and make homes unlivable. So stay safe. And we're going to take a quick break right now, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Your weatherman here, Chris Mulcahy. How's everything going? We're looking at some clouds across the area. We do have a slight chance for rain. Not a lot going on today, but all in all, we'll keep a rain chance really south of I-85, clouding things up a little bit more, but temperatures zooming into the mid to the upper 50s. By the way, we will be nowhere near this temperature for the next couple of weeks. So this is actually the top, and then we slowly go downhill. As far as the amount of rain that we're going to see over the next couple of days, it is not a lot, less than 0.05 to 0.1 of an inch on and off through the course of this time frame. But then hitting the weekend storm, heavy ice is a possibility. Mainly sleet and ice will be the scenario. So that means treacherous roads really starting Saturday evening, Saturday night through Sunday morning. A little bit of improvement late day, but still really not much. Lasting some of those impacts heading into your Monday. Let's see the impacts of our morning commute with Destiny. What's going on?
Yeah, if you're headed I-77 southbound from Uptown this morning, or you're just crossing by Uptown and going southbound, you'll want to be aware that at the West Boulevard exit, that is 9A, you'll encounter an accident and some backups here. This is very new, and so we're still watching this, but the impacts are there. We're also seeing an accident on Brookshire Boulevard North at Beatties Ford Road. We'll have more on WCNC Plus.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30 on this Thursday morning. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragg in for Ben Thompson.
We start things off with a check of your forecast as we are weather alert for the weekend with that storm headed our way. Chris has all the details.
All right, today's not bad. Tomorrow's just fine. And I know Megan went to the grocery store. I did yesterday, and it was busier than a typical Wednesday afternoon, to say the least. All the cheap jugs of water that I buy, because I'm not fancy enough with my pinkies up, was completely sold out. So just letting you know that could be the case and scenario for you, that especially people have gone out and tried to prepare for this. Well, some people are starting to realize, oh, wow, this is not going to be a great situation. There is still a chance for power outages, especially after midnight. So here's how it all goes down. The first half of your Saturday, don't worry about it. If you have any Saturday morning plans, you're good. Once you get to the afternoon, we start to hit the yellow. That means there's an uptick where we get the slightest chance for a glaze of ice or a few of those sleet pellets. That's not really going to affect you too much. The glaze, the brine on the roads is going to be just fine. But that freezing rain potential really starts to pick up by the middle of the evening. So we could see a little bit of wintry precip during the afternoon. It's more so during the evening, and then the impacts really take control by around midnight. Because what I'm about to show you is the impacts of that Futurecast ice going into this event. We don't have too much at first, and then all of a sudden you start to see up to about 1/10 of an inch once you get to about midnight. So let me slow that down for you. That ice accumulation is going to be very light and slight at first. The reason why the model data cuts off, by the way, this one only goes so far out, but this is actually the most accurate model that we have. But one thing to do, the easiest part of meteorology, is to see what's coming. It's called what's happening upstream. So pretty much if something's heading towards you, there's a good chance that you're also going to see that closer to home. Notice some of the ice totals that I'm seeing up to about midnight on Sunday. You have over 1/4 inch of ice around Pinola up in the mountains. Now, a lot of that could be factoring in some of the snow and sleet as well, but you have at least 1/10 of an inch of ice across the area by about midnight. And we're going to continue to accumulate things after that. It's at this point that we're starting to see a problem versus the brine. The brine is great fighting freezing rain at first. Really what it does is it buys time before the roads turn dangerous. So it's excellent at preventing the ice and glaze. So that means by the afternoon, early evening, I'm not seeing a big issue. It's once you start to get that long lasting light freezing rain or heavier freezing rain that it becomes overmatched. So by the end of the evening, that's where we have a mismatch as far as the matchup here. The freezing rain will eventually win out, and then we have some big time impacts. The worst of this really hits by your Sunday morning. At that point, most of the ice is already accumulated on the ground, and then we have the impacts that linger after that. There are some indications by our models that, hey, maybe we could get above freezing and then we get some just plain old rain. That's not necessarily good because you already have a layer of ice with some really cold rain that really is going to melt it away, and then it'll refreeze for an even thicker layer of ice heading into your Monday. Now, at that point, the NCDOT and the SCDOT is going to try to put some salt down that will start to temper it once the situation's over, but in general, if you don't need to travel, don't. That is the best advice I have for you because we're not just talking about sleet, we're talking about a combination of sleet and even some heavy freezing rain. So this little swath that you're seeing right here in this deep purple is the areas that I think has the highest chance for freezing rain, which should just be pure ice. There's a chance we could have up and over 1/2 inch. And yesterday I was seeing, honestly, one of the worst scenarios I've seen since I've been here in Charlotte, that we could have up to 1 inch of ice. I'm happy to say that's been cut down because of the sleet possibility, but it's still really not all that great. So what do we come for? You're probably saying, okay, Chris, I get it. I know when it's going to happen. How much am I going to see? Well, I'm glad that you asked. We have our first map here, and as you know, it will change. There's a lot of criticism saying, oh, it's always changing. Yes, because the amount of things that can change when you have a system in California that's moving in, a difference of a couple of degrees, a shift 30 miles to 60 miles to the north, yeah, things are going to change. But we've had a good handle on it that this was not going to be just a rain or just a snow event or a rain event, that it was going to be an ice event. And that's what we continue to say. The only difference here is that we have more widespread sleet instead of snow, and then there will be a narrow swath that we have upwards to crippling ice. So there's still a chance that a lot of us are going to lose power for not just hours, but maybe even a couple of days across the Carolinas. Keep that in mind. Have all the supplies that you need. But I'm letting you know, if you need to order anything last minute on Amazon, like de-icer and the lanterns, it's too late. It's not going to get to you in time. And Richard Devane's actually been out at some of these stores that are already starting to sell out with a lot of this stuff. I saw a lot of the water that was out, as I was mentioning earlier. All sleet is really the main scenario that we have as far as our ice totals, up to about 1 to 3 inches of snow and sleet. It's all sleet, by the way, for the Charlotte area in that blue. Up in the mountains does have a higher chance, maybe up to about 5 to 6 inches plus, especially on the mountains, mountaintops, which is great for skiers all in all. So here's where our high temperatures are going. This is the absolute top of 58 degrees, where we have some much cooler temperatures going weather alert for the weekend. Coming up, I'll have your 7-day forecast and any additional information you need to know about this winter storm. But first, here's what you need to know about your morning commute. Good morning, Destiny.
Good morning. Yeah, we're starting to see some crashes disappear, so that is good news, but we're not completely out of the woods in terms of incidents on our roads. I-77 at mile marker 9. This is where you merge onto I-77 southbound if you're leaving Uptown, if you're going onto West Boulevard. This is where we have our most recent crash, and it is definitely causing an impact here. I-77 south at exit 9A West Boulevard. So just be aware of that right now. It's still fairly new. We also have an accident near Independence, very close to it, Wendover Road South at Monroe Road. We do have an impact there on both of the roads at that intersection. We do have some good news though. Some things have cleared, but we're not cleared of the backups caused by it. Brookshire Boulevard north at Beatty's Ford Road, that is cleared. And then we also have another accident on the northbound side at Idaho Drive that is cleared. But right now we're seeing a lot of backups on the southbound side of Brookshire Boulevard. So just be aware of that.
Destiny, thanks so much. This morning, Duke Energy crews are getting ready for the winter storm, and they are urging customers to prepare now. Officials say ice and sleet pose the biggest risks to power lines. They're advising people to plan ahead by keeping extra supplies, charging devices, and staying informed on power updates.
If you depend on medical equipment that relies on electricity, find a backup plan for that. And also, having your emergency kit, having things that you need in case there is a temporary power outage.
Duke Energy also says gas-powered appliances can still be used for cooking, but they warn do not use them to heat your home. Now, if you lose power during the storm, you can report it by calling, texting, or using the Duke Energy app. And with that high chance of power outages comes a chance for losing heat in your home. The National Weather Service has some tips to beat the cold if that happens. They say first, you will want to close your doors to avoid wasting heat. Also, close your blinds and curtains to lock in some heat. Make sure that you stuff towels and old rags under cracks and doors. And lastly, make sure that you eat and drink to give your body the energy it needs to stay warm. You should avoid caffeine and alcohol.
And if you had to head out this weekend, here's a quick reminder for how you should dress to avoid getting sick or worse. This weekend will be in the cold category, so throw on about 2 to 3 layers, top and bottom, an extra outer layer hat, gloves, and waterproof boots. Then after this weekend, this winter storm will leave behind extreme cold temperatures. When that happens, it's best to really bundle up with 3+ layers. And as temperatures continue to drop this week, we want to remind you of the 4 Ps to keep you and your family safe and warm. People, pets, pipes, and plants. First, people, dress warmly, limit time outdoors, and check on vulnerable neighbors and family members. Second, pets, bring them inside or provide a warm shelter. If it's too cold for you, it's too cold for them. And third, pipes insulate them, keep cabinets open to let warm air circulate, and drip your faucet to prevent freezing temperatures. And for your plants, use a tarp to cover to lay on your plants that will be harvested in the spring, like strawberries. Other plants like leafy greens, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts don't mind the cold and don't need to be covered. Experts also say those leaves lying around your yard can help.
And of course, our weather impact team will be answering your questions about the weekend storm live right here on WCNC Plus. You can text your questions to 704-329-3600 and watch for free right here on WCNC Plus. Well, this morning, lines at the grocery store will continue to get longer as people stock up on the items that are now in high demand.
Yeah, and just last night, our crews caught this scene with folks packing into the Harris Teeter on South Boulevard to stock up. People we heard from told us they wanted to beat the rush and stay safe.
It's much better to be prepared. It may end up being nothing, but I would rather have enough in the house and not have to worry about a shortage. Yeah. And I think all you can do is be prepared.
Our team has noted that just yesterday, store shelves were pretty bare when it came to essentials. However, trucks should still be coming in, so you can still head out to the store. Just have a plan in place so you don't overbuy and end up throwing food away.
The winter weather takeover continues. We're going to get a look at what other states are experiencing. That's next. The time is now 8:42. We want to show you what some states are experiencing. Some of them, in fact, are under emergency orders as more than half of the country prepares for this major winter storm.
Yeah, here's NBC Ryan Chandler, and he has more with the worst some areas have seen in years.
Punishing whiteout conditions turning roads into traps in upstate New York. The danger leading to this massive car pileup. Some areas already buried under 2 feet of lake effect snow as brutally cold temperatures grip much of the Northeast.
You definitely need layers when you come outside.
And now the supply chain is cracking. In Pennsylvania, salt bins are already running dry.
We're trying to figure out where the salt is. I'm hearing rumors now that there's no salt available.
The South is also bracing for a crippling freeze. Several states already declaring states of emergency, and supplies are flying off the shelves.
I am loading up on water and pre-cooked meals. Need candles, just in case power goes out.
In Texas, with snow and ice in the forecast, along with temperatures set to dip below freezing for 48 hours straight, many are unnerved by memories of the catastrophic power grid collapse in 2021, when more than 200 people died. Tonight, ERCOT, the state's power grid operator, says it's improved the grid and it's ready. All major metropolitan areas from Dallas to New York City will be impacted by the storm. And experts say travel could be impossible from Texas to the Carolinas.
You simply cannot expect a good roadway. I mean, we're just fighting Mother Nature. We'll do what we can. We need drivers to do what they can.
Meteorologists say this powerful winter storm is being driven by a stretched polar vortex triggered by an unusually warm Arctic water colliding with frigid air over the continent. Now that distortion is sending bitter cold southward, where it will combine with moisture from the Gulf and the West Coast to create the dangerous snow and ice. Experts warn this storm could impact most of the country and bring conditions similar to a major hurricane in terms of disruption. With the temperatures plunging well below freezing for millions of us, the snow and ice that fall may stick around for weeks.
If you're still needing firewood for the winter, Pisgah National Forest firewood collection is still in full swing at no cost and no permit needed. Visitors can go to the park and chop their own wood and take it home to your fireplace. The West North Carolina forest that was once hit by Hurricane Helene is still in recovery, expected to take months or even years. By gathering wood for your own use, you're returning the woods to its roots and preventing complex fire.
The amount of fuel that this down wood is bringing to our forests is leading to really complex wildfire seasons. We had a big spring fire season. That was just the start of what we're expecting over the next 5 to 10 years with all this fuel on the ground.
Whether you're just getting started or you've done it your whole life, all are welcome to split the workload. Well, this morning, crews across our area are preparing for the roads for the winter weather. And some of you asked us what the difference is between salting the roads versus using brine. So let's verify. To get answers, we went to the state of North Carolina Department of Transportation. So let's start with brine. Take a look at that. It's a solution of water and salt, and it's used to pre-treat roadways in dry conditions when temperatures are above 18 degrees. It's loaded into holding tanks and sprayed on roads that can be done 24 to 48 hours before storms hit and protect against icing. What it does is it prevents snow and ice from bonding with the road surface, keeps snow from being compacted by traffic, and is more effective and costs roadways and coats roadways better than plain salt and sand. Meanwhile, let's take a look at salt here. It's usually used after storms to help clear roads. Salt helps melt the remaining snow and ice. Crews usually use a mixture of salt and sand because sand helps break up the ice and adds extra traction for vehicles. I know, Chris, that a lot of, DOT, I should say, will be out on the roadways and helping all that they can, really, because it's going to be a mess out there.
Absolute mess. Thanks a lot, meteorologist Megan Bragg. I do appreciate you there. Ice accumulation, just letting you know, brine is great at first, but if you get a quarter to a half inch of ice, it doesn't matter because it's going to overcome that brine initially. Then the salt that Megan just brought up will help after that. I have to talk about this winter storm watch that'll soon be a warning before you know it. Here's the ice total. We'll talk about the sleet, the snow. I'll try to get to as many locations as possible. I'll see you soon.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle, January 22nd. What is happening today? Today just happens to be National Hot Sauce Day. Let's talk about hot sauce and some of the interesting facts that we have for you on this 22nd of January. The first bottled hot sauce in America was called cayenne sauce back in 1807. The oldest still in production is Tabasco since 1868, and the most popular in the United States is Frank's Red Hots. Hot Sauce Day. Now, the hottest locally is Smokin' Ed's Extinction Entity out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. It features Pepper X. Have you heard about Pepper X? It is the world's hottest chili pepper, according to Guinness World Records. It features 2.69 million Scoville units. That's the measure of heat compared to the previous record holder. That was the Carolina Reaper, 1.64 million. So it is hot. That's the Pepper X. Today in history, it is National Hot Sauce Day. By the way, across the Southeast, especially in the Carolinas and Virginia, the most popular is Texas Pete, which is actually made up in Winston-Salem. Today, National Hot Sauce Day. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
And today is the hottest day of the week, even though it's not really all that hot. But, I had to have some sort of transition and some warmer hope. I want to show you the first signs of precipitation that arrive for your Saturday. So I want to talk about the first onset and then where we go from there. There is a legitimate chance that we have our first round of snow for you in the mountains. Boone, you could start to see it early to mid-afternoon. So your first impacts really develop around here. And then we start to see a little bit of this pink. I think this model is showing way too cool, but it will have a chance for some initial sleet, these very tiny ice pellets, and eventually it will start to pick up once you get to this status by the evening. So my advice for you, do everything you need to before you get to the evening hours. I think it'll be drivable at first, but each hour we're going to see those road conditions deteriorate fast. There are some signs that we maybe could hit a little bit of a lull from time to time, that it's not consistent precipitation. That would be some good news for us. The best thing that's going to help us out is if we can somehow get some warmer air or some drier air, because trust me, I would rather not have this ice event. I don't need to be right about what we've been saying all week. I would love for this to really fizzle out and you say, oh, you were wrong. But things aren't trending that way. Things are actually trending for some major winter impacts. Already by Saturday evening, this is just Saturday evening, by the way. We're not even into the worst of it. We already have medium to high weather impacts across the area. So our model doesn't even go out to Sunday. That's the reason why I'm not showing you here. Once you get all the precipitation, we're talking about major to even extreme levels. There's a chance of up to a ½ inch of ice. That has only happened 4 times here around the Charlotte area and just North Carolina in general over the last 30 years. 1996, 2002. 2016, and now officially it could be happening now. Well, I say this would be the 4th time. Right now we are looking at really, I think, the highest chance for some of those heavier ice totals to be right around the Charlotte area. Truly, you want this scenario. We want more sleet. Before, I was saying earlier on the week, if we can get more snow, that's actually a better scenario. Now, it's still going to be pandemonium because what happens when it rains here in Charlotte? Doing traffic, I think we all know, it gets chaotic. Some of you have been messaging and say, well, I already know the way it's going to rain. If you just add a little bit of snow, woof. If you're adding more sleet and ice, it's going to be a rough situation, so just keep that in mind. I want to wrap this up with our 7-day forecast brought to you by the Jerry Hunt Super Center. Stay off the roads, I would say as early as the afternoon, but by the evening at least, and then certainly stay off of them for Sunday and really heading into Monday morning. Conditions do improve, but we're not really getting much warmer after that. Stay weather alert. We'll continue to keep you updated right here on WCNC+. One last look at traffic, though. What's going on?
Right now, we're seeing some things improve. We've had some accidents clear this morning, but there's still a couple of lingering ones. A look again at traffic on I-77 at mile marker 9 as you approach the West Boulevard exit and merge onto I-77 from Uptown. This morning, we are still seeing that crash there. I-77 south at West Boulevard, so you can see that backup on the southbound side. Northbound looking a little bit better in this area, but still going to be a problem for people. This crash is cleared Wendover Road south at Monroe Road. Still a couple of impacts there at the intersection, but mostly improved. I haven't been able to talk about this yet. Eastway Drive between Kilbourne Drive and Frontenac Avenue. Right now, there's a traffic light issue at that intersection, but it's not causing as many impacts as it was earlier, so just be aware that you need to treat that as a 4-way stop if the traffic light's not working. This is what it looks like across our area this morning. We do still have some congestion on I-77, I-85 northbound, but for the most part, things are starting to improve.
All right, Destiny, thanks so much. 8:54 now. We need to take a quick break, but make sure that you continue streaming live here on WCNC Plus. At the top of the hour, our own Jane Monreal is going to take over from our live Impact studio. She will have Blue Ridge Energy on. They're going to be talking more about storm preps as we get ready for the winter system headed our way this weekend. We want you to be prepared and to stay informed. That means continue streaming live here on WCNC Plus.
Today's the warmest day, but not the prettiest. Temperatures in the upper 50s all in all. Still some clouds could be winning out with some on and off rain. But letting you know, here are our first look at some of our ice and sleet totals. Ice potential, we still have a chance at a 1/4 to a ½ inch of ice through your Saturday evening, Saturday night, and your Sunday. Anywhere from really the glaze of ice to a ½ inch is just going to be still absolute pandemonium on the roads heading through the weekend. But as far as any accumulations for snow or sleet, sleet. It's all sleet for the Charlotte area, less than an inch south of Charlotte, and a better chance for sleet and snow up in the high country. That's why we have winter storm watch from mid-Saturday through mid-Monday. 7-day forecast has us quite cold then too. The 30s Saturday through Monday, back to the 40s on Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, Destiny, how's traffic looking?
Right now, we're seeing things improve this morning as we head towards 9 o'clock. Right now, we're seeing an accident still lingering on I-77 southbound at West Boulevard, but the impact isn't as great as it was before. Traffic is starting to move again in that area. In Uptown, we have a crash at North Tryon Street at West 10th Street, and then we also have Brookshire Boulevard south at Mount Holly Huntersville Road. The intersection is a little backed up there. Have a great Thursday.